There we go. How's that?
Nobody heard that intro.
Oh.
So welcome everybody. We apologize for the tech difficulties. That intro I was doing, I'm glad nobody heard it because it wasn't that great. But we were talking about tech difficulties, which we just faced. So here we are right now. We're aboard the University of Rhode Island research vessel Endeavor. And this is, we're calling this project Rhode Island Shipwrecks. And here I'm standing with Shannon Donovan from Scituate High School, Rhode Island, and Tiffany Risch from Coventry High School, Rhode Island. And we're going to go back to where we started, which is your story of how we got here and your perspectives of this cruise.
So, as I was saying, I'm super excited to be here. If you've watched any of the feed this week, you've seen me geeking out all over the place with Dr. Rosby and everybody else on board here. We had earlier in the week some folks here from the Coast Guard Academy with a small ROV, and I actually got to drive it. So I teach robotics, environmental science, and biology this year at Scituate High School. So the things I've seen this week, I can take back to all of those classes and put into use. I have so much to bring back to my classroom from this experience, and it's going to make the learning in the classroom, I think, a lot more relevant. So it's just been an amazing opportunity.
Hi everyone, it's good to see you all listening. So I'm from Coventry High School. I teach physics, general science, biology, and I actually wrote an oceanography course that's really based from my first initial experience at sea, which was back in 2008 when I was a teacher at sea through NOAA's program. And from there I just really fell in love with being out on the ocean and out on the water. So I continued to look for different opportunities for myself as a teacher to really be invested in real-time research and working with real scientists. And so through that I found the Nautilus program, which allowed me to go out back in 2011 and also 2013 to go ahead and research ancient shipwrecks off of Turkey in 2011, and then a more modern ship, they called it the Monterey Project actually, in the Gulf of Mexico. And then from there, working the Rhode Island Teacher at Sea program and being able to come out for the last couple of days on the Endeavor and work on this German U-boat, which was just awesome. And I'm so excited to work with the researchers. I've been reading up before I came out here, just the knowledge base that the people on board have and the willingness of them to share it is awesome, because all of this I can then bring back to my students in the classroom.
Yeah, I think that's something really powerful, is this experience that you guys get out here is something that you can physically bring to your classroom and bring this discovery and this awesomeness back there. So I think we have a question for Tiffany that we came in from Linda, and it's, as a teacher, what have your previous experiences been at sea?
So as mentioned, I've been on a variety of research cruises already, but it really just started when I was very young, I believe 8 years old, and my family from upstate New York would go on vacation to Cape Cod, and I met marine biologists on the beach one day, and that experience as a young child really just kind of paved the way for me wanting to do further research and explore. I mean, that's really key. You don't really know what you're finding all the time, and so in terms of exploration, the roadway is just so open, and from there, being able to go out on different research vessels and seeing the variety of research taking place has allowed me the opportunity, as mentioned, to kind of bring back essentially what is going on today in the world of science and make it more relevant to students.
Yeah, and Tiffany, and maybe Shannon, you can touch on this too. How do you do that when you go back in your classroom? Maybe some teachers are watching and they're wondering, well, if I apply to this and I get out there, what can I do when I actually get back to really bring that to your students? Maybe start with Shannon.
I think that depends on the individual teacher and their experience and the courses they're teaching, the needs and interests of the students in front of them. We're all in such unique situations and have such unique backgrounds. We actually are going to do a little demo here in a couple minutes that Tiffany and I were talking this morning, and as teachers interested in continuing to grow and develop ourselves, we try to identify our weak spots, our areas that we need to get more in our bag of tricks to bring to our students. And the particular demo that Dr. Rosby taught us, and that you'll get to see in a few minutes, addresses exactly that. Tiffany was like, well, that's one of my weaknesses. That's why I applied to this program, and this is a really great opportunity. So it's different for everybody.
That's incredible. Tiffany, do you have anything that you'd like to add to that?
Just in general, I think the ocean itself is just such a great vehicle to teach many different aspects of science. So because of that, you can really see the physics, you can see the geology, you can see the biology, the chemistry. It's all there, even the archaeology and the history connection. So it's a great vehicle to use to teach science with.
So many different fields, so many different people who work in those fields, and they all come together for common goals.
That's right.
So speaking of somebody who's been in this field for a long, long time, we have a demo here. So Tom Rosby, URI oceanographer, is going to come on, and we're going to come over here and we're going to do a little experiment with Tom. Oh, first we want to do some introductions, right? We want to talk about this, give some context to our viewers. All right, so can you introduce yourself, Tom?
Yeah, my name is Tom Rosby. I am a physical oceanographer at the Graduate School of Oceanography. By background, an engineer, and over the years we have developed and applied a number of techniques for measuring ocean currents. Currents are what we are really interested in, and the two technologies that we have are one where we put floats in the water that drift around at depth and follow the water as it moves around, so it tells us where water goes, how it disperses, and so forth. And I think we have a picture of a float coming up. It's a glass pipe that just drifts at depth, and there we are. There's a glass pipe there that's being held by a colleague in Woods Hole. We throw that over the side, and it drifts at some prescribed depth, and gives us information on how it moves. But that information comes from the underwater acoustic navigation system that we have developed, and that's in the next picture. If we can see that. There we are. On the left side, you have the sound source. That generates a low-frequency signal, which we're going to demonstrate in the experiment in a moment. Just sounds like a doot. And the signal that we transmit is in the middle picture, but the more important one is the one on the right, which shows three points there with circles. Those circles represent the acoustic signals going out from those sound sources, and from the arrival times of those signals at a point, we can determine where that point is.
What kind of scale are we talking there, Tom?
That can be on the order of hundreds to 1,000 kilometers. So the acoustic,
1,000 kilometers?
yeah. If it's in the open ocean, sound propagates almost forever, and if I put it that way, and so we can track. We usually work in terms of hundreds of kilometers,
sure,
but the signals can be heard out to 1,000 or more kilometers. That's quite powerful. Now we are developing that same technique, and that's why we are here on board the ship, is to validate a technology that's been developed by my colleague in the electrical engineering department, Godey Fisher. He was here yesterday, and that is to shrink that glass pipe into just a little thimble-sized device, which we can put on the back of a fish. And there you have a picture of a yellowtail flounder with an archival tag sitting on its back there. And we will be we have developed and be able to put a similarly sized device on yellowtail flounder, cod, and other species, commercially important ones that can be trawled, and so that we get them back and can be analyzed. Now, it might be appropriate now to demonstrate how that sound source works. It's pretty cool.
Let's do it.
Okay. Can you hold the mic?
Absolutely.
Because I need my hands.
Okay.
Okay.
So we did this. Tom first showed me this a couple nights ago, and Dan behind me was holding the tube, and the demo worked perfectly. And then yesterday we did it, and I was holding really, because the water was moving a lot, and I was holding on really tight, and it didn't work as well. So we think that might have been part of the problem. We need to let this tube resonate. So if you're doing this demo in your classroom, a light grip on the tube.
You've adapted.
We're trying.
So Tom, what are you setting up now?
Okay.
We're starting to hear it.
This is the signal. This is the signal that we're generating, and this is just all of you have iPhones, and all of you have little computer speakers. So this is the Bluetooth connection here. So now I'm going to turn. That's how this sounds.
What's that app that you're using?
The frequency is 130 cycles per second.
130 cycles per second. But what is the name of the app?
Signal generator, I think. Yeah, and I can change the frequency. Some people, I'm hard of hearing, so I don't get.
Tom, do you ever walk up and down the halls of your office and change that frequency and just mess with people?
Yes, I can.
You can? You do that?
Yes. So now I'm going to turn it off. I think I can. There we go. I turned it off, and I'm going to slip this into. You heard what it sounds like. Now I'm going to slip it into the pipe and put it about midsection inside the pipe.
Alex. This is a really great demonstration for anybody that's teaching about waves and sound.
Yeah. This, by the way, I picked up at Home Depot for something like $5, so it's not a big deal. Now I'm going to turn it on again. You may notice that it's a little bit louder.
You hear that?
Oh, okay. If you hold your hand here, you can feel the air going back and forth. So I'll turn it off for a moment. And now...
Hope the viewers are awake now.
It really does go back and forth.
This part shows how these sound waves are actually pressure waves.
Yes, inside the pressure waves, and they generate a strong motion here at the end of the pipe. Now, I'm not allowed to have an open flame on the ship, but as I mentioned yesterday, we have permission from the old man, as we call him. That's the skipper on board the ship. It's kind of an affectionate way of expressing respect for authority. Thank you. So now I'm going to turn it on again. It's pretty loud. And now I'm going to have this. Actually, I could have done it the other way around. I'll bring the flame up against here. You can see it flickering. There you go. This is really easy. This, by the way, is when you talk about waves, this is a resonance that we're talking about. You can do this even in your bathtub. If you fill your bathtub, and if you push the water in the center of the bathtub, or at either end, and you push it at the right frequency, you can get a standing wave, which we, an oceanographer, would call a seiche. But that's the basic concept of resonance, that energy moves back and forth between moving and pressure. But that's what we have here. It's the same concept. But this is a very easy thing to do because all of you have iPhones. You get the signal generator app, and you probably have already speakers similar to what I have.
My friends at Home Depot will be coming to buy some Sonotube, and they actually have different sizes, so we could have different frequencies playing.
May not, but you just cut it. Take a song, cut him. Or, yeah. Anyway.
Oh, thank you so much, Tom. Thank you, Shannon, for holding the tube. What an awesome experiment. So if you follow me over here, we have another guest coming in. Tom, come on over. We have another guest coming in who I believe you know very well.
Yes.
You brought her on this ship, right? So can you introduce
well,
who?
Actually, she begged to come along. She's a real.
She's waving her hands off the side.
No, as I said, we measure currents two ways. One is by tracking these floats. The other way is by measuring currents from ships. And that's where Sandy has developed a real skill.
So Sandy, come on in. Hi, Sandy.
Hi. Hi, my name is Sandy Fontana. I'm a marine research specialist at GSO's School of Oceanography.
And what's your role on the ship, Sandy?
Besides, I've been working with Tom. Yeah. I've been working with Tom for a number of years on various projects. The latest is dealing with an instrument called an ADCP, which is part of my role on this cruise. An ADCP is an acoustic Doppler current profiler.
What does that allow you to do?
I'm getting to that.
Thank you.
No, it's an instrument that's mounted on the hull of the ship, typically in a sea chest, and it emits sound at a certain frequency. And what it ultimately does is measure the current under the ship. On this cruise, it was important for example, the ROV operators to understand what the currents are doing at the surface and at depths. So, yeah, that's...
So you did it in order to aid them, because the more information they have, the more context they can build, and the better they can essentially pilot the vehicles, right?
Yeah, I mean, especially just before they actually pilot it, just so they know what the currents are doing at that time.
Yeah, and I think we'll hear from some of the engineers after, where they can actually attest to this, and some of the preparation they have to do with your science that comes into play, some of the preparation they have to do just to know where they're going, and what they can do and what they can't do. Know their limitations, you could say.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, well, I'd like to add that we're using the acoustic Doppler, the ADCP, that instrument. We're using it also on commercial ships. And in particular, this is where Sandy has been extremely helpful, is we operate ADCPs on a freighter that goes between New Jersey and Bermuda, the Bermuda Container Line. And we've been doing this for 22 years. So we're measuring currents all the way from New Jersey to Bermuda. That includes the Gulf Stream. And our group is able to monitor and track the behavior of the Gulf Stream over the last several decades. It's an extremely powerful data set. We also do the same thing between Denmark, the Faroe Islands, and Iceland. We're measuring all of the warm waters that are going into the Nordic seas. And thirdly, we're measuring all the currents going north between Scotland and Greenland on a third ship. And so by measuring currents from these ships that are going back and forth, we build up a data set which is internally self-consistent. It provides its own framework for interpretation, for understanding variability, and Sandy has played a key role in all this. So we're continuing these activities.
Sandy, you have anything to add to that?
I think Tom summed it up.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, so thank you very much, guys. I think we're going to bring on some guests. And we have a question. Perfect. The question is, I'll take the question. So, does the Inner Space Center only work with the Endeavour? So that's a great question. So I've been at the Inner Space Center for 6 years, and throughout that time there, we've been able to work with multiple ships. So this technology we're using here, which we call telepresence, which is allowing us to send these feeds, especially if we had a vehicle in the water, directly to a satellite and then down to the Inner Space Center and broadcast to you wherever you're watching this, on the web or on TV. That technology at the Inner Space Center has been around for a little while. And some of the ships we work with are Dr. Robert Ballard's EV Nautilus, which is operated by the Ocean Exploration Trust, and a NOAA vessel, the Okeanos Explorer, which is operated by NOAA. So those two vessels they have extensive cruise schedules, and they're out at sea quite a lot throughout the year. And when they're diving vehicles, they're sending these feeds all over the world. And they all come to the Inner Space Center, and then we spin them out there. So we work with multiple ships. And even about 2 years ago, at one time, I think it was the month of July, we had 5 different research vessels coming into the Inner Space Center at one time and streaming those out. So now we have our next guest. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Tom. Thanks for the great demo. Our next guests are 2 individuals, both University of Rhode Island graduate students. We have Jordan Kirby and Matthew Perkins. Jordan Kirby is smiling. Hey, welcome aboard.
Oh, thank you. So great to be here.
So great to be here. Thanks for saving me.
No problem.
Hey, Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
All right. Can you guys introduce yourselves and give a little context for your roles on these ships?
Okay. My name is Jordan Kirby. I'm a graduate student in the Department of Ocean Engineering at University of Rhode Island, and I'm kind of the ROV pilot.
Kind of the RV pilot.
Yeah, well, I mean, you were the other one, right?
Well, I was just operating the camera.
No, you said you're going to operate the vehicle.
I've been waiting for you to give me those sticks, man.
Let's do it.
Let me get in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do the same job as you do, though. It's a pretty difficult one.
So I'm out on deck, and I work a lot with the tether. I make sure that everybody in here knows how much tether is overboard and where it is with respect to the ship. So the idea is to try and keep it off the side, make sure we don't run over it with the prop.
How valuable is that? I mean, when you say tether, too, can you explain what the role of that tether is?
So the tether brings power and communications from the vehicle to the ship. And so if we get that hung up in the prop or get it cut or tangled, it's a really big problem. And so keeping that off the side of the ship and out of the way is very important.
That's awesome. So, guys, how did you get to be a part of the cruise? How did you get selected to be out here? Because I think people at home may think that this is a pretty cool job we're doing here.
It's a very cool job.
It's a very cool job?
This is a very cool job.
I'll just let Matt speak for me.
Okay.
No. A few months back, I was told that we were going to be operating this ROV in these waters, and somebody said that the normal pilot wasn't going to be around. He was going to be at a conference. So I was kind of wrangled into it. And then Matt found out like 2 weeks before this that he was coming on the cruise.
So how about you, Matt? Is the similar story where you just found out and then coming on board?
Yeah, it was a pretty similar story. I heard a few weeks before we left that they needed help, and so I volunteered. I've always wanted to come out on a research vessel. And here I am.
I'm sorry, here you are?
And here I am.
They won't be able to hear it if we don't have the mic. So you guys are engineers, right? And we've been dealing with some issues. You've been dealing with some issues. Can you talk about some of these challenges that you've been faced with and how you've used what your training, basically, to get us in the water and be able to do a successful dive like we had one this morning?
All right. Well, first off, I started by causing every single electrical problem on this vehicle, said somebody. No, we've had issues with this vehicle from the get-go. Just a lot of ground faults, a lot of stray voltage on the case. We first found it out when we touched one of the cases on the arm and got shocked. And we're like, nah, it's probably not a big deal. And we put the multimeter to it, and it's 48 volts. And so, I don't know, it wasn't that comfortable. And so, like I said, we've had a lot of problems with this from the get-go. Part of the solution was just learning how to ignore the problem and pretend it just wasn't happening and running with the ignorance is bliss approach.
But you were able to do that because of your training to know if you can ignore this or not ignore this, right?
Yeah. It weighed the options and decided that, it's not that big of a safety risk. It's not really a safety risk, to be honest. It's protection for the vehicle itself. So we decided to take a little bit of risk so that we could actually get down to the seafloor. And there was a massive applaud in here when we actually sat down on bottom because it took us so long to get there. So
everybody knew the process that it took to get down there, and the adaptation, that's the word of the day, the adaptation you guys were able to come to and then work as a team to get it down there. Nice job. Thanks for coming on, and I believe we have one more guest. We have a little bit of time left in the show. We're going to bring on the master of the ship. We're going to bring on the captain. Oh, and then first we'll have a question. Thanks, guys.
Oh, thank you.
So how long has the ISC been operating? So the ISC, which stands for Inner Space Center, is our question. And the Inner Space Center has been operating, since 2009, I believe we opened the doors. We're operated out of the University of Rhode Island. We're located right there on the Bay campus at the Graduate School of Oceanography on the lower level. And we also offer tours, so anybody who's in the area can come on by and check the place out. It's a really impressive facility. But the idea of what the Inner Space Center runs on is this idea of telepresence, and that idea has been around for quite a while, and that was really pioneered by Dr. Robert Ballard for upwards of 20 to 30 years. He's had that vision, and the Inner Space Center is a realization of that vision. So we've been around since 2009, and it's been a really great ride. I've been lucky enough to be there the whole time. So with just a little bit of time left in the show, I'd like to bring on the captain of this vessel, Captain Buth. How you doing, Cap?
Glad to be here.
Glad to be here. So we're starting to talk a little bit about career, and we don't have much time, but I really just want to know, you've had an extensive career at sea. And can you just tell us what that pathway has been like and to sort of how you're standing here today?
Sure. I'm a Rhode Islander who's been living in North Carolina for 39 years. I began my career here at URI on the Trident in 1972 and got married, though, in 1975. Didn't want to be away at sea all the time, the way the Trident was and the Endeavor is now. So found Cape Fear Community College in Wilmington, North Carolina. I was a ship captain on the school ship there for the 39 years and a teacher. Now I'm retired. This is what I'm doing for retirement. It's an honor to come back here where I started my career, and with a wonderful operation. It's a tight ship. I have a crew of 12. Great support staff back at the university, and working with scientists is an uplifting and educational experience. I'm just pleased to be here.
Well, being on board for this short time, we can definitely tell it is a tight ship. You guys run this so beautifully. The operations on deck are extremely safe. They're done well, and it's not always an easy thing to do. Not that last night was a crazy amount of weather, but even with a little bit of weather, the stakes come up and the challenges get really come to board. And you guys did a phenomenal job, and we want to thank you for that. That's been great. So thank you.
Yeah, every day is different. Inherently, it's a perilous environment. The challenges vary from day to day. So we're prepared and trained to do it, and everybody pitches in. And it's an adventure. It's a transcendental experience for everybody.
Absolutely, it's such an adventure. So, on that adventure idea, do you have a favorite place you'd like to go when you're on a ship?
On the bridge. The view is the best there.
Yeah.
The electronics are great. In fact, I hope you'll get up there with the cameras so we can give you the red carpet tour.
We may be able to do that, actually. We may be able to put the cameras up there.
I had a great view of sperm whales this morning.
Oh, really? And you didn't tell us?
We did. I don't think anybody was up.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So thank you very much, Captain. It was great to have you.
Thank you.
So we're running out of time. We're asking that everybody just stay tuned because we're still broadcasting to the web at innerspacecenter.org/RIREX. And we're really glad you could be with us. We have another broadcast at 7 p.m. And we're hopefully We may be diving on the U853 once again. So just stay tuned. Our broadcasts are going to stay live until that time, and we may come in and out. And we're really happy to have you aboard with us. So thank you so much, and we'll see you then.